Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to a truly special online event today. It's called How Our Pets Reach Out After They're Gone. Learn how to recognize real contact and receive clear, verifiable messages. My name is Stephen Dinan. I'm the founder and president of the Shift Network, and we have been on a deep adventure into the frontiers of connecting with animals in communication, both in the living form and the deceased form. And now we're going to get to explore how we bridge those worlds in a way that really deepens our connection with our animal allies and really builds a bridge across time and space in a way that can be very healing for our hearts and open us to new forms of guidance as well. So we're going to be exploring this with a remarkable pioneer. Her name is Danielle MacKinnon. She's an animal communicator, intuitive coach, and teacher, and has really been at the forefront of the whole field of animal communication, extending that now into mediumship in a really cool way we're going to hear about today. And if you're excited, we have a brand new program launching with Danielle called Evidential Pet Mediumship, and we'll share more about that towards the end of the hour. So with that said, Danielle, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's good to see you again, Stephen.
Good to see you. Well, even though you've done a few things now for Shift, I think it's always great to have a bit of backstory for people who are new and what really brought you to this field and dedicating your life to it.
Yeah, I can share my story. My story is not the story that I planned on having when I was 5 years old. When I was five, I thought I was going to be a veterinarian and a writer. I knew I loved animals, but I also knew I was really, really sensitive. I didn't know what sensitivity was, but I knew I was different, let's say. As I got older, the differences kept getting bigger and bigger. I felt uncomfortable in situations that other people felt comfortable in. I kind of seemed to know things that other people didn't know. I was everybody's ear. They always wanted my advice. I thought I was a really good advice giver. I didn't realize that it's because I was psychic. So as I grew older, I started investigating and kind of looking into other stuff like meditation. That was my first foray into another way of living and another way of being. But I didn't really fully delve into it all until my dog got sick. And when my dog got sick, she was a puppy, a hardy puppy. So it was weird that she got sick, and the veterinarian couldn't figure out why she was sick. And she was at the vet for 4 nights, and we did not have the money to be paying her to be at the vet for 4 nights at all. And so I met a friend in the parking lot of my gym who said, take her to the pet psychic that is in your town, like the pet psychic who was literally like a few blocks away. So I made an appointment. I was not able to get a regular appointment, so I actually dragged my husband, who is a scientist, and my dog, who was very sick, to the parking lot of the place where the psychic fair was going on that the guy
You
was at.
stalker, you did the stalker technique, huh?
I did not know psychic etiquette at all. I was like, you gotta see my dog. And he was really nice. He came out. He was now I gotta set the stage a little. I'm married to a scientist. I mean, he knew what he was getting into because he was married to me, but not really. So my husband, he's leaning against the car door, like, what are we doing? My dog is so sick, and she's at the hatchback, and this pet psychic comes up, and he starts talking to her. And he actually was able to tell me that my dog told him she was sick because she ate corn cobs, because she'd been so anxious that my husband and I had been fighting about my mother. And even though it was my mother-in-law we were fighting about, not my mom, just want to be clear about that, even though that part wasn't totally on, it didn't matter. There's no way he would have known that. My dog ended up passing the corn cobs, and that moment changed my life. I'd been, working in telecom, I'd been getting my MBA, I'd been kind of going down a real different path, and I realized there's something way, way, way cooler that I need to be doing. I took his class like the following weekend, and in that class, and I'm going to share this story because I think it's really, really important. In that class, everybody was kind of going around sharing the intuitive information they're receiving from this horse we're talking to. And it came to my turn, and they're all saying, I see hay, I smell hay, I see a big horse with a white, they're like really distinctive stuff. And I was not getting that information at all. And so I knew the premise of the class was share whatever you get, don't worry. So I said, okay, I'm going to share. It comes to me, and I go, well, this horse was riding with the person, and they were riding in this field, and they came upon a tree, and they stopped at the tree, and the horse got tied by that rope thing to the tree, and the person left, and then a crow cawed, and the horse went up like this, and the rope broke, and then the horse was wandering around for 3 days until a man with a hat found him. I know.
That's amazing. It sounds like you nailed it.
I did not think I nailed it at all. I was like, if I bit my nails, I would have been biting my nails. I felt like such a dork, really. I know it's an old school word to use, but I was so scared that I wasn't getting it right. It was different from what everybody else got. And then he pulled out a newspaper article that said exactly the same thing. So,
You're like, boom, I think I might have a talent here, right? Undiscovered talent.
And that's when I went, oh yeah, no more MBA, no more corporate telecom project man. What am I doing? And I gotta say though, it wasn't really no more. It was no, I want to get out of it, but it took me a few years to get out of it until I felt brave enough to go full time in this work.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago that this was a pretty out there field. I mean, it is getting more mainstream now, which is great, and it's amazing how I mean, it's showing up all over that people are really fascinated by this field. I think part of it is that we just love our animals so much, and then just the idea of like, oh, you can actually add another layer of the connection is really so meaningful to people.
Yeah, I feel like the animals are the secret sauce to making us look at ourselves and live in the world differently. We love our animals so much, we're going to do anything for them. So I
Hmm.
feel like it's like an extra power pill.
Hmm. What have you, so I have a similar kind of story when the first intuitive training I did where I was just second guessing everything, but I ended up kind of like nailing almost the exact same past life reading on somebody that the teacher had given the previous week. And I was like, oh, maybe I can do this stuff. And so I guess, so the question is there's often a tendency to sort of second guess ourselves on these things or to be skeptical. We've been trained in skepticism, maybe like your scientist husband, or trained to be sort of like second guessing ourselves. What have you found that sort of like first starts the momentum for people to start trusting that what they can open to becomes real and that it's sort of real communication?
First, I totally agree. I think everybody second guesses themselves. I still second guess myself. There are times when I'm on the inside going, "Oh no, I'm not sure." And so the first thing is to not expect that you're not going to ever not second guess yourself. That might have been too many negatives, but you know what I mean. Not, you know what I mean. So, yeah, we know what I
Sufficient
mean.
number of negatives.
Yeah,
We got it.
we're good. So it's that's going to be there a lot of the time in the background, and I actually feel like it's healthy to have a little part of you that's like, hey, let's double check this. Hey, let's make sure. The second thing is second guessing yourself. It starts to become, for me, it's like part of it. It's part of what I do, and I've learned by doing it again and again and again, and having confirmable experiences where somebody is saying, hey, this totally makes sense. This is right on. This is real. Or I can go, oh, even though part of me is going, I'm not sure, the confirmation that I'm getting along the way is helping me realize that a lot of that I'm not sure voice, it's not real. It's just a scared part of me, but it's not the truth of me.
Hmm.
So being able to put yourself in a situation where somebody can say, yes, this is right on. I feel like that is the very best way. It's by practicing and practicing in a place where there is a control,
Hmm.
where somebody can confirm it, where it is within this box so that it can be more confirmed. I know the word control is kind of weird to use in like the world of psychic, but I'm all about, I mean, like when you think about it, doing intuitive stuff and psychic stuff really, and you know this, Stephen, it's very floofy, right? It's like, it's all out there. It works different for everybody. But if you can take it and put a structure around it, using that structure, you can do things in a repeatable way, which then builds the confidence and helps you continue to build trust in yourself.
Your scientific husband would be proud of that statement. So let's talk a little bit about animals on the other side. So you've done a lot of work, obviously, with just animal communication. So what shifts when you're starting to focus on an animal that's no longer present, but that is in spirit?
What shifts? Well, one of the cool things that I find is when an animal is no longer attached to their physical body. The things that they want to talk about, the things that they want to share about are more expansive, could be bigger picture stuff, can more easily, like animals love. Actually, let me rephrase that. Animals, when they have a physical body, they are attached to the physical body. So a lot of the information can be about the physical world. When
Mhm.
that physical body is no longer there, this isn't part of the picture anymore. So they're more easily talking about things about you, they're human, things about what's happening globally, things about what people are learning or what's being worked on, or kind of going around and visiting everybody and saying, hey, this is happening over here and this is happening over here. So there, I would say the thing that I love is that we're no longer limited to so much about the physical world. Love
Mhm.
the physical world, but it's really fun to have access to an animal who's just constantly tapped in that way to the other side, to, I don't know, like the God, the universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it, tapped into all of that and what it can really mean for us.
Hmm. So their vantage point actually becomes you actually open new octaves of the connection, it sounds like, because their vantage is a little bit more philosophical, metaphysical than just when they're in the body.
When they're in the body, they have that as well, but when they have no body, we get to do all that then. So
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. And so let's talk about like the process of starting to make connection. And so first of all, maybe a story or two just about the kind of evidence that you had with the horse in the pasture and all that. Is sort of like where you sort of like, okay, people are like, oh, this is really possible, that this is maybe a story that sort of illuminates that kind of evidence that is like gives you the chills and is like, okay, this is real. You can communicate with pets in spirit.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of you're asking about like
Yeah,
confirmable.
yeah. Maybe I was just curious if there's like a story you can tell from your own like, practice of that it was like a wow story there.
Well, there's one I can think of, but I'm not going to tell that one because it's inappropriate. So we're going to stay away from that one. But what I will say is that the animals. So we as humans, we have things that we might be embarrassed about. We have things that might be going on behind the scenes. We have things that are very important and special to us. There's a lot. We are complicated. The animals know all of this. When they're on the other side, their only goal is to help us be the best person they can be. So they're going to give us the intuitive data, the evidence that somebody needs in order to believe that you're really connecting with them. So one of the fun things that they can do is they can kind of give away a fun little secret. Like, I know that you have, the animals say, I know you have feelings for so and so, but really they're married. They can literally share that. But I do want to be clear, they would never share in a way that would get somebody in trouble, right? It's because the face you're making is like, oh no.
This is getting spicier than I thought.
Yeah, I see by the face it is. But they're going to choose the type of evidence that there's no way that somebody would have known. A lot of the time, so that's when they would say, "I know you have feelings for so and so," or your work, the name of your work is this, or your brother's name is that, or in October you went here and did this specific thing. So they're going to give these very definable moments to help us, the people who are here and listening and participating, go, yes, 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 this is who it is. So in terms of a story, I'm the worst storyteller ever, because one of the things that I do is, and this is what I teach my students, I say, okay, do the reading, great, get the confirmation, be in it, and then let it go. And then don't sit there and worry about it and think about it. And so all I can do is just be really honest and say I'm a terrible storyteller and I don't have one.
Well, okay, we'll drop the story, but there's an intriguing thing I want to showcase there. So it seems like you're implying that the pets, once they are on the other side, they actually can see us more deeply too. They're actually getting more information about us, it sounds like.
Yeah, they see everything. So, we think that our pet, when they're alive, they only know what's happening with us, in our house or wherever they are. They have access to all the other information. They know what's going on at work, they know what's going on with our family, etc. When they cross over and that physical body stuff is no longer there, that's all they care about. They want to watch all that. They want to share all that. They want to guide us and all that stuff. They want to let us know, you went to the doctor on Tuesday and you need to listen to that doctor because they said X, Y, and Z and you aren't doing it. Like they're really, in a way, they're wanting to help guide us, nudge us. They don't become guides, but they want to help guide us to make better decisions, to be better people.
Hmm. So that's an interesting distinction. They don't become guides, so they're not like a formal spirit guide, but they are sort of like there's more advice that's happening than just the kind of companion relationship, it sounds like. That's interesting.
And I think it's because when when an animal has crossed over, we, the human, we don't experience them physically anymore. So we don't know how. What do we do? How do we have a relationship with them? Like, what is this? Because they want to have a relationship with us from the other side.
Hmm.
So we end up asking them questions or asking them what they observe, etc. So it ends up becoming, they're giving us guidance, they're nudging us because so many of us don't really know what to do otherwise. Like, how
Hmm.
do I have a relationship with my pet on the other side? I'll ask them some
Hmm.
questions and they'll give me some answers back. So we end up developing being with them in a very new way.
So one of the things we've talked about in some programs has been around the soul contracts between animal and human. So is actually like the animals on the other side become more cognizant, aware of like different dimensions of that soul contract?
Ooh, this is a good question. All right. Um, I feel like they are aware of it when they're alive and they can give messages about it and they can give us homework about it and they can work with us on it when they're alive. But eventually, what happens is their physical body is just getting in the way of doing more work. Let's say a person is working on independence and believing in themselves and they don't, that they're strong and powerful and they've got this cat and the cat has helped them learn this when they're alive. That was part of the soul contract. Eventually, you're going to come to a point where that cat needs to physically leave their life so the person can go, and I don't even need my cat. I've got me. So now the cat can cross over and continue helping the person without the physical body to work on that contract, to work on that lesson that they're supposed to learn. I love animal soul contracts. And I've found over the past 25 years or so, when I first started doing this, a lot of animals were crossing over, but they weren't continuing to work on the soul contract with their human. But that's not how it works anymore. So I think because so many people are like open and don't think I'm crazy or other people like me are crazy, that the animals are feeling this. Human consciousness is raising, so they can actually be like, yeah, now I can continue working with this person at an even higher level from the other side.
That is really fascinating. So the bond gets established in the body, and then you can kind of continue in a higher level even of the collaboration and the relationship. That's really cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about the signs since we want to do more on that. So how to discern, that there is that your pet instead of just us reaching out, that your pet on the other side actually is really interested in reaching out to you, and some of the signals that you've heard about and seen, and how you can start to make that discernment. So to then take to the next step of direct communication.
Okay, so wait, say what you're asking me again, because I don't know what you're asking
Signs,
me.
more about signs and signals, how to discern like when you're sort of starting to get signs that the pet is reaching out to you.
Okay. So I actually want to, before talking about it, do a little exercise. Would that be okay?
Sure.
And then
Yeah, let's do
okay.
that.
Okay. All right, we're gonna do a little exercise. So this is an exercise you need a pen and paper for, and we're gonna go through some questions and don't think about it too hard, and your answer will be yes or no. That's it. All right. So question one. Have you felt something brush against your leg or curl up next to you when no one was there? Have you ever been sitting in a particular spot at a friend's house and kept feeling like you shouldn't sit there? Have you ever felt a sudden warmth on your chest, in your lap, or at your feet? You have no idea why. Have you ever thought of a friend's pet in spirit and been suddenly overcome with emotion? Okay. Have you ever had a strong memory of your own pet in spirit arrive out of nowhere? Like, you don't know why, but suddenly you're thinking of them. Has a specific animal in spirit kept popping into your thoughts even when you weren't grieving? Have you ever kind of obsessively thought about a pet in spirit you weren't close to? Have you ever been mid-conversation with someone and their pet in spirit popped into your head? Have you ever walked into someone's home and felt like there was a pet in the house, even though there was not? Have you ever had a dream about an animal in spirit that was very ordinary? Have you ever noticed something go by fast out of the corner of your eye, but nothing was there? Have you ever noticed a pet staring or growling or meowing into empty space? That would be a living pet. Have you ever gone through a stretch where a specific breed of animal seemed to keep showing up everywhere you looked? When talking about an animal in spirit, have you ever noticed the lights flicker or something strange happen with the device? Has your phone or a device ever randomly showed your pet in spirit's picture? Have you ever heard a sound connected to a pet in spirit, like a meow, a bark, collar jingling, click of nails on the floor? But obviously they're not there, they're your pet in spirit. Has the deceased pet's name, yours or a friend's, ever gotten stuck in your head? Out loud or in your head, do you talk to your own pet in spirit as if they can still hear you? Have you ever heard an animal in spirit's name on TV or social media 3 or more times in a few days? Has your phone or device ever randomly started playing a song you associate with your pet in spirit? Okay. So I just want you to add up your yeses.
5.
5. Okay, awesome. Okay. So this is going to be crazy because here we are, we're on Shift Network. But most people who aren't on Shift Network or who aren't spiritual, the average yeses that they would get would be 0. They aren't tracking this at all. So 5, you're already above average. Like the average person is not going to remember anything that happened. Even though stuff's happening, they're not going to remember that any of this is happening, that any of these, I call them reach outs from the other side, are occurring. Mm-hmm. And then, so when you're at 5, you're starting to track. You might not be remembering all the times until asked, but you're starting to pick up on these things, and this is a good thing. And then as we go all the way up, by the time you get to 15 to 21, you're pretty tuned in, and you're probably remembering these and tracking them without somebody having to ask. So what this means is that our animals on the other side, they're always reaching out. They're always giving us signs. All of these things that I just mentioned are signs or reach outs from pets on the other side, from animals on the other side. What I try to help people do is start noticing that these things are happening. So, Stephen, in those 5, when one happened, did you go, what is this? This is crazy. Or were you like, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really in the this is crazy, but it's sort of like, it's a little bit like, oh, that's curious kind of feeling.
Yeah, which is great, because, and your reaction to it also shows here that you're open and that you're already aware and receiving. Does that make sense? So if it's, what is this? Those are going to be the zeros, the ones. They're going to be saying it's really crazy. The higher up we go, the less crazy it seems. And the more you start, the brain will start kind of putting these together as various signs.
It's actually just helpful to hear all the questions because it's like, oh, that could happen or that could happen. It's just like an inventory of possible experiences that not necessarily attuned to like, oh, clicking of tail of toenails or whatever. Like that's very interesting.
Yeah, I think that even me, if I'm not totally paying attention in a certain moment, I won't notice until later. Oh, that just happened. Oh, that was a reach out. Oh, I missed that one. But the more attuned you are, the more you want to start noticing, the better you do at starting to notice, unless you start trying too hard. Do you
Mhm.
know those people? Who are like, I just want a sign. I want a sign so badly. And in trying to get a sign, they're actually narrowing the field. Like, you went into this, like, I don't know what we're doing, Danielle. Sure, I'll take your quiz. So there's not any attachment to getting many yeses or nos or anything. But people who get attached end up making it harder for themselves because the expectation means they're expecting something to come in, it's got to come in like this. Even though intuitive information, reach outs can come from anywhere, if we're expecting it, we're narrowing the field to receive.
Hmm. Kind of reminds me of the psychic I originally trained with. She was unbelievably good, and she would always say like, "I don't know if any of this is true, but here's what's coming through." Like she was the most unattached about the information that would come through, and she would always rock your world. So there's something about that lack of attachment that really opens the aperture.
Yeah, and I teach that lack of attachment all the time. And I also teach to, like, if you think you've had a reach out, to just go for it, to just share it versus really trying to figure it out,
Mm.
trying to figure out if it's real. You can't figure out if it's real inside you. You figure out if it's real after it's out and about in the
Mhm.
world, and someone can say, yes, that makes sense, or no, that doesn't make sense.
Mm. So once you've had the reach out, so that's like, oh, need to pay attention. Relationship wants to continue in some form here, and what do you do next?
So I like to have a conversation. In terms of, if I'm not practicing pet mediumship and I'm just like thinking of somebody who's like, okay, I've had some reach outs, this is happening. I would say start keeping a journal, looking for more reach outs, and not seeking and finding, but just keeping yourself aware. Hey, has there been another reach out, and writing it down. One of the things that people do with these reach outs is, because there might be a week in between, by the time the second one comes, they've already forgotten and discounted the first, and they didn't, because they didn't have a place where everything was brought together. They can
Mhm.
start talking themselves out of it. So really having a place to see, oh wait, these are all the cool things that happened, can help somebody be in that more receptive space to start finding more and more reach outs.
Hmm.
Did
That's
I
a really
answer?
important point because we have such a momentum with the skeptical or the self-doubting part that you have to have some evidence to kind of overcome that.
Yeah, and you're keeping track of your own evidence that this is
Yeah,
happening. Yeah.
yeah, that's great. So that's the kind of, accumulating the evidence, convince yourself, staying open. Then sort of how do you start to, so, and you said just have a conversation. So how do you start to have a conversation and what's your recommended foundation?
I always advise people. So there's a lot of people, I bet, who answered that question. Do you have a conversation with your pet in spirit, even though they're in spirit, who answered yes to that. But often the way those conversations are going is, it's like, hi Fifi, I'm cooking dinner and I'm thinking of you, and Fifi, I'm getting the strainer, and it's almost like I'm just dictating my whole day to Fifi, which is comforting to us as the human, because we're still talking to them as if we're having connection, but we're actually missing a big element, which is we need to create space for connection. And so in creating space for connection, the easiest thing to do is say, hi Fifi, I'm thinking of you, and I thought of you today when I blah blah blah, whatever the thing is. And then I just give it some space. I wait a moment. I give Fifi the space to answer, However, Fifi's going to answer. And I realize that a lot of people aren't animal communicators yet, and that's fine. So ways that Fifi could answer, not having trained in, say, pet mediumship yet, would be, did Fifi's name or some relevant thing to show up on the TV? Did I suddenly start thinking of some memory? Did an emotion shift happen? Like there's all these different ways before training that Fifi can answer without it becoming the, Fifi saying, "Hi, Danielle, I love you," whatever Fifi wants to say back. So the first step is leaving space for the pet and spirit to actually answer back.
Mm-hmm. So the monologuing, drop that. Dialogue leads to deeper relationships.
You said it so much fancier than me.
So once the dialogue, and then how are you working with, if you still have the skeptical part or second guessing part, like you start to feel like, oh, there's words that are coming, there are concepts that are coming, that I feel like there's something coming back. How are you working with that to sort of, differentiate between wishful thinking and genuine communication?
So there's a few things. One, wishful thinking is huge. Wishful thinking, it really is a thing that happens, especially when we're missing our pet on the other side. We want to hear from them. We want them to say awesome things back to us. But for me, what I like for people to do is to not worry in the beginning about whether or not it's wishful thinking. And I was kind of alluding to this before. So if I keep everything inside me, everything that's happening, everything that's going on, and I just use myself and my own thoughts to try and figure everything out, I'm never actually going to find out the answer of, is this wishful thinking or is this the animal? I actually have to express it. I have to share it in order to be able to tell. And the reason for that is, if I'm taking all this intuitive data from an animal in, and I'm wondering, is this wishful thinking or not? What am I doing? I am not in an open and receptive state. I'm not like this. I'm like, let me figure this out. This is not a great way to be when receiving intuitive information. So instead, if I am in this open and receptive state and I'm willing to share whatever it is that happens, it puts me in an even more open and receptive state, which makes it even easier for me to receive the information from the animal. And that's what needs to happen. I have to be in a truly open and receptive state, not a censoring state, not a figure it out, not a I'm not going to share until I know state. So what I always advise is that you don't censor first, because that's censoring intuitive information is not being psychic. It is that you share it, because sharing allows for more information to come in.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, just keep the fluidity with the sharing.
And the animals don't want us censoring. When we're censoring, when we're like, I don't know if I want to say that, I don't know, it's just me. Like the animals feel it, and it's not great for the connection between the animal on the other side and the person, because now you're not fully present in the connection anymore. You're like in your head trying to figure stuff out, and the animal's like, Danielle, what you doing? I gave you the information. So yeah.
Sounds like animals in spirit are into radical truth telling too. It says don't hide anything. There's no point to that.
Yes, they're into radical truth telling. That's hilarious.
Interesting. So one thing we said we would discuss a little bit of, like, starting to move from just after death communication with your own pet into where you're really becoming, it's a skill you can apply to other animals. So how do you start to notice if there's another animal that might want to connect with you that you didn't have a direct relationship with in the past?
Well, in that quiz, there were a whole bunch of questions about other people's animals. Like, have you ever been talking with a friend who has a pet in spirit? Maybe you're not even talking about the pet in spirit, but the pet in spirit, you keep thinking of their name. They keep flashing in front of your eyes, or you can't get their name out of your head, or there's an emotion attached. A lot of the time, because we aren't attached to someone else's pet in spirit, we are a great one for a pet in spirit to come through and talk to. but they have to get our attention. A lot of the time they do that by, let's say Bella is the name of my neighbor's dog, and I'm taking a walk and I can't get Bella's name out of my head. Okay, I'm gonna go, all right, I think Bella's got something to say here because I can't get Bella's name out of my head and I was just walking by Bella's house. So we have to go back to, in those questions, starting to pay attention to the ones that aren't directly related to us. The emotion that comes up about somebody else's animal, when you hear somebody else's animal's name several times. But it wouldn't be, in this instance, it wouldn't be like an animal that you don't know at all, right? For what I'm
They're
talking
not
about.
random animals. It's more like
Right.
adjacent to animals here.
Yes, it's not like the whale that's in the news that you don't know at all. I mean, that's possible too, but for what we're talking about here, it's going to be an animal we have a connection to in some way, but isn't our direct connection. So the first step is to start paying attention to how you're feeling, first of all, because a lot of them communicate through emotions. So your neighbor talks about their cat or dog, Bella, and you're listening, and then you just have a wave of emotion come over you. This is a sign, hey, there's something to be said here. This animal wants to connect in. If that makes sense?
Yeah, totally. Well, maybe paint the picture. I know we're going to have a little time to talk about your upcoming course here soon, but like just paint the picture a little bit of how this develops over time and you can really become a pet medium and make this like something that you're offering to others. I think it's a fascinating new field as well.
It's funny that you consider it a new field. I know it's a new field. It's just not a new field.
It wasn't on the list of, potential career options when you're a high school guidance counselor, let's say that.
What would my high school guidance counselor have said? That wouldn't have gone over well back then. So I think that you start out really connecting. No, actually, let me say it this way. The way that I started is I started connecting with exactly the animal I wanted to connect to. So after I took that class and then I started my business and then I started teaching, in my readings that I was doing, someone would say, I have an animal here, let's connect with them. I'd connect with them and do a reading. But over time, what started happening is I realized that there were animals that wanted to connect, but that I didn't know wanted to connect. I wasn't like, hey, I intend to connect with you. They were showing up connected to a person and they wanted to connect with me. So what had to happen was I had to figure out, how do I open the door to this? It's very different, right? Because I think that Shift has a big mediumship school. And in mediumship, let me be clear, I do not purposefully connect with deceased loved humans. So I might say this in a wonky way. In mediumship, people are connecting with deceased loved humans, but they don't know who they're necessarily going to connect with, right? The medium is like, I have so-and-so here. And I was always like, well, animals don't work that way. Animals, I just say I want to connect with Bella. Here we go. But then the animals started showing me there were more that wanted to come through than that human necessarily was thinking of in that moment. So what started happening is I needed to find a way to be open to whoever wanted to show up. And by doing that, whatever deceased animal wanted to show up. And by doing that, it actually honed my skills, like the evidential pet mediumship skills, even more because I had no clue who I was talking to. So I had to slow down in the whole process to be able to receive the information in a completely different way. And I didn't answer your question at all. So
I think you were going in the right direction. Yeah. So, but actually, I would love to talk about your upcoming course because I think it's such a unique way to open this portal to a deeper level of relationship, communication, and advice, fulfillment of soul contract with an animal, and even potential professional pathway down the road. So we're very excited. Danielle's agreed to teach this brand new course. It's called Evidential Pet Mediumship. Learn how to receive verifiable messages from animals and spirit to stay bonded beyond death. You can find it at the URL petmediumship.com, petmediumship.com. It's a 7-week program. You don't have to have any experience with this. Danielle's going to really lay the foundations with you and build a really fascinating and impactful and liberating new tool in your toolkit of personal development and relationships. So Danielle, you want to share a little bit about some of your intentions for this program, and then we'll go through the modules and the bonuses.
Yeah, my intentions are that I wanted to help people feel more comfortable doing this type of stuff. As you and I've been talking about, it is way more widely accepted than it was 20, 25 years ago, which is awesome. But I think that it doesn't make, even though it's more widely accepted, I think people still get stuck in it. And they still like love their animals and want to do more with their animals. But at the same time, they don't believe that they can. So working with animals that have crossed over, I feel like is a shortcut, maybe I could call it a little shortcut to feeling more confident and to trusting what you're doing because you don't have anything present day to really rely on.
Really great point. Module 1 is called the Radiant Hello, making your first clear contact.
Okay. So the first two modules, well, the first module, it's really setting the foundation. So we're going to actually have the animal who's choosing you show up in an animal communication pet mediumship reading and get to know them. So these are foundational techniques that the rest of the course will be built on. And I'm actually going to I've created it so that there's 4 different foundational techniques that may work for a person in a different way. So somebody might like number 1 and number 3 or number 2 and it's kind of mix and match according to how that person's intuition works. So in this one, we're doing a lot of observing. The animals showing up, whoever they are, and we're observing them and getting those details from them about who they are. It's really, I think it's the best way to start because a lot of people are most comfortable with or like the most being able to see. So I tried to tap into that in order to do this module.
Module 2, picking up, sensing when an animal is ready to connect.
Okay, these are the other 2 foundational techniques, and these are where we're going to feel, and we're going to feel, and we're going to sense in our body what the animal wants us to know about themselves as evidence. So we're still connecting with whatever animal has chosen us, but now we're using different senses that are intuitive within ourselves in order to get to know the animal and share that evidence. So the first module is more seeing, and this one is more sensing and feeling in our emotions. Both skills are really important to being able to get all the information from the animals on the other side that they want us to have.
Module 3, building the portrait, gathering evidence you can confirm.
Okay. So there's this I don't know, pathway through the course where here now we're not just going, oh, I connected with this animal on the other side, I'm starting to know who they are. Now we're actually really working on gathering the evidence. And we, the human reader, are kind of stepping forward to gather the evidence, to figure out what do we need to know to verify what animal this is. It's a different way of doing it than we will do next, but there's a change. We humans, we want to manage everything, we want to control everything. So this module lets us do that more.
Module 4, world walking, letting the animal lead the evidence.
Yeah. Look how I walked us right into that. Okay, in this one, we, the human reader, we are starting to step back a little bit and we're starting to let the animal lead. We're starting to let the animal show up and give us the evidence that they know will be exactly what is needed in this reading. So we're seeing the world through their eyes. So they are taking us where they want to. Whereas in module 3, we are the human. We are figuring out what evidence do I need. In module 4, the animal is starting to run the show. And my belief is that the animals are tapped in to their innate wisdom, to the big picture, to the universe. The animals on the other side are tapped in like this in a way that we humans, we don't have access to all the time. Very little time. So we want them to be the ones running the show, and that's what we're doing it for.
Very cool. Module 5, timeline, delivering a memory that the animal's human can confirm.
So this is more again about evidence, and I mean, I would say the title says what it is. So we're going to have the animal that we have connected with, the animal that has chosen to come through for this reading. We're going to have them step forward and really paint out the picture of an exact memory that that person has experienced. And the goal of this is to really give defined evidence so that that reader knows, hey, I've got the animal, because the person they're reading for is like going, yes, I remember this. This is how it happened.
Module 6, homing, receiving evidence the animal is still there for their human.
Okay, this is really cool. So our animals that are, we didn't even really talk about this. Our animals on the other side, remember we were talking about how they kind of want to give us guidance and nudge us from the other side. They're not guides officially, but they're there for us. They're also taking part in our lives, kind of from the side, but they're watching all the stuff that's going on. So this is where the animal is delivering information about what the person that they left on this side is currently experiencing. And this is very verifiable because obviously the person just went through it.
And finally, module 7, the soul level message, sharing the healing the animal came to offer.
Okay, this is the easiest one. This is like the point of the whole thing. If you like, why in my world, why do evidential pet mediumship? Yes, we're using it to boost our confidence. That's confirmable, and we know we've really got the animal. These things are really happening. But the point is not the evidence. The point is actually the healing and the message and the connection that comes out of once all that stuff is established. So this is where now the animal and the human who's receiving this reading is like, this is really my animal. This is amazing. We have all these memories, all this stuff. And now all of that buttered that human up so that they can receive the real soul level healing message that the animal wants them to have.
What a cool course this is, and I think it's such an amazing skill to develop. So, and a blessing for anyone with beloved pets on the other side as well to really develop this. So, again, there's more detail on each of the modules at petmediumship.com. If you choose to move forward, you're going to get those 7 90-minute live sessions that Danielle just described, which includes time to do practices together as well as ask your questions live. You also get recordings of every session, both video and audio, as well as word-for-word transcripts and their weekly practices for home. There's a really cool community group to support you and deepen your experience, as well as small group time to connect with other participants. And on the page, you'll also see a number of extra bonuses that are designed to enhance, and all have really cool titles as well. There's the Star Wars Reset. There's No Place Like Home. This is a guided audio and PDF practice Danielle's created. You want to share more about the Star Wars Reset?
Yes. I love that you're going to read the names of my bonuses. The Star Wars Reset is a technique to work with your energy that will actually bring you back into the zone to be able to do the work. It's pretty simple. And yeah, I think most people know Star Wars, that movie or movies like it. But it is a very powerful, easy, and fun, I'm all about fun way to reset your energy so it's exactly where it needs to be to do this work.
The next one is my favorite, Bippity Boppity Boo, 1 minute magic for when you're off. This is a guided audio and PDF practice guide. You want to share more about that?
Only if you say it again. No. No. So he's like, no, I'm not saying it again.
Also, Bippity Boppity Boo. I think that was actually in a children's book that we read.
Yes. Yes, it's from Cinderella. Yes. So this is a very quick energy management technique that you use on the fly. So you could use this when you're in the middle of an evidential pet mediumship reading. You could use it when you're having a hard day. But this is a really effective way to clear out what doesn't need to be there to get you right into that intuitive zone to do the work.
Great bonus. And then there's one final bonus you get if you sign up by midnight tonight Pacific time. It's our special bonus. It's called The Light Calls, 40 days of soul-led release that changes everything. It's a guided audio and PDF practice tracker that Danielle's created. You want to share more about The Light Calls?
Yeah, the light calls, they are six, I mean, some people call them prayers. It's like six one-liners that you read every day for 40 days. And what they do is they release all the things that aren't aligned with your energy, all the things that you don't need, all the things that aren't yours, even the guides that don't serve you anymore. You're basically saying, hey, I'm going to live in this balance and this alignment. And you state that every day through the prayer. And it's crazy what happens. But these things that don't serve you start leaving your life. Like you don't even have to do anything else other than say them. I will get emails from people and people in my community going, what is happening? Because there's like, I gotta be honest, there's a little bit of a time when there's a little bit of chaos because you don't understand how all this stuff is clearing out. But I promise the outcome is really great.
What an awesome bonus. The Light Calls, 40 days of soul-led release that changes everything. So there's more detail on each of the bonuses, all the modules on the page at petmediumship.com. So clearly it's going to be an amazing program, and Danielle is such a uplifting, empowering teacher that I'm sure you're just going to love. So we're very excited. We've kept the investment very accessible. It's just three payments of $128, or you save 10% when you pay in full with one payment of $349. The course is going to start June 23rd and run Tuesdays at 1 Pacific, 4 Eastern. But even if you can't make the live times, you can still get the full value with the transcripts, the community, and really the practices, because once you build the skill, then you have this portal open for the future, which is really such a blessing. So there's some great testimonials on the page from people who've participated in Danielle's previous courses at the Shift Network or in her other work as well. So she's really a stellar guide and very trustworthy, and I'm sure you will be very blessed. And again, it's all at petmediumship.com. So Danielle, it's always a pleasure to be with you. Anything that's still on your heart you want to share with folks who are considering doing the Evidential Pet Mediumship course?
Yeah, I think that there is a lot that comes out of connecting with animals intuitively that are on the other side and allowing the animal who wants to come through to come through. It can be really challenging for people to let go of the I need it to happen this way. But when you do, so much healing, so much expansion happens, not just for the person who belongs to that animal, but also for the person who's reading that animal. Because those animals on the other side, they're not just there for their human, they're also there for you.
Mm. Beautifully shared. Well, Danielle, it's a very empowering perspective that you offer and a lot of fun as well. So again, thank you for this time. Thank you all for joining, and you are warmly welcome to join Danielle's course on evidential pet mediumship. Learn how to receive verifiable messages from animals and spirit to stay bonded beyond death. And it's all at petmediumship.com, and you'll get that special bonus of the Light Calls, 40 days of soul-led release that changes everything. You sign up at midnight tonight. So thank you so much. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you.